All right, in this video, I'm going to show you how to import an exported data list from Investment Dominator into REI Pebble. There's a few things you'll want to note when you open up your CSV file. So here's an example CSV file that was exported from Investment Dominator. Now, this doesn't always happen, but can happen, okay? The first thing you're going to take a look at is this APN row. You can see that the APN row is formatted into a scientific notation format here. Now, it isn't necessary that it's always going to be in scientific notation, but this can and has commonly happened in the past. So the first thing you'll want to do is address this column first and change it into a plain number field. To do that, what we're going to do is select the first column in that row, first row in that column. We're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and we're going to grab that entire column except for the header. Okay, great. Now we're going to go into formatting here under the Home tab, and then more number formats. We're going to make sure that it is in a number, and we're going to have 0 decimal places. So the sample is showing this exactly here. So I'll go ahead and hit OK. Great. Our APN is now showing as a unformatted number format. Now, again, this isn't always going to be the case. A lot of APNs may have signs like dashes or even letters. If that's the case, it wouldn't show this way. But again, if it does show up looking like scientific notation, you'll want to make sure that you unravel that and change that into a plain text field or a plain number field. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is our coordinates. The longitude and latitude coordinates are given to you but are combined, and what we're going to do is separate that column. To do that, the first thing we're going to do is go over to the right column, select the entire column, right click and insert that. Insert an extra column here, and we're going to go ahead and select the entire column except for the header. All right, great. All right, now what we're going to do is actually separate these two columns. And to do that, we're going to go into the Data tab. And it really depends on your version of Excel that you're using. Now, if you're not using Excel, I think there are equivalents in Google Sheets as well if you wanted to do that. So you're going to go ahead and select Text to Columns. Great. We're going to go ahead and select Delimited, hit Next. It's delimited by the comma, which is great because we see there's a comma here. That's what's going to separate it. We're going to go next. Then we're going to select both columns here. I'm going to move this out of the screen because I want to look at this example. And then we're going to change this into text, okay? If you left it into something else, it can do rounding and you won't see these last few digits here. So you'll see that the last few digits are 7778 and then and then 3632. So I'm going to go ahead and hit finish. You can see now I've separated into that. So it's typically lat and long, okay? Okay, so the next thing you're going to see, and you might see, are these warnings here. It's giving us a warning. I don't really care for that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ignore that, but I'm going to make sure I get rid of that sign just in case if it affects anything. So I'll go ahead and you can see every corner has this green warning sign. I'm going to go ahead and hit, scroll back up to the top and go to that warning at the very top here and just hit ignore error. It's considering that as an error, but it isn't, okay? All right, great. I haven't lost any formatting. The next thing I want to do is actually combining the owner first name and last name. That's because inside of Pebble, you'll need a column for the full name. All right, so what we're going to do is you can see the ORF name and OR last name. That's the owner first name and last name. We're going to combine that. And we're going to go ahead and insert a column to combine that. Now, before I do that, you can see there are companies here. Now, it's up to you if you want to actually mail the companies. A lot of people actually skip through this, but I believe because the way that Investment Dominator has their filter with data tree, you aren't able to get rid of companies, which, it should be something that should be offered to you, but unfortunately, we're not able to do that. Or you're not able to do that inside of Investment Dominator. So when you are bringing properties in, it will just skip over if it doesn't have a full name. So you can, you have two choices: either leave it as blank so you don't bring that in, or grab the company name and put it into this full name column. And I'm going to call this full name. And there is a formula that you'll want to use to combine this column, and it is equals concatenate here. And don't make fun of my pronunciation, please. Brackets, this first column, comma, quote, space, quote, comma, this here. Now that's space quote, sorry, the quote, space, quote is really just making sure there's a space. Hit enter, you can see it combine everything. Then to apply that to everything, you're just gonna mouse over the bottom right corner and you're gonna get the crosshairs here. And if you pull it all the way down, it'll apply that to all of them. So that formula is going to apply. So I'm gonna go down all the way. Okay, oh, I went a little too far. I'm gonna go back up a little bit. There we go. Awesome. Okay, so it applied to everybody, but you can see the companies don't have that. Now, again, if you want to bring the company name into this column as a full name, go right ahead, or you can just skip over the companies. Again, that's quite common practice where a lot of people do skip over the company names. Okay, now, again, we've got the full name, we've got the long and latitude formatted correctly, we've also got the APN formatted correctly, and also the other thing is you might have an ID which Investment Dominator has created for that property. I don't know which column that would be, but you can always bring that in. I'm going to actually show you that now inside of REI Pebble. Okay, we're inside one of my example accounts here. First of all, I want to make sure that I have a column to bring in that property ID that you may have been using inside of Investment Dominator. The thing is, because you've already mailed out with them, and then you have that code, you want to bring it into Pebble so that you can actually search for that code with our property filters. So you can actually use the code that Investment Dominator created for that property and search that actual code as well when you're looking up that property. So to make sure we have that field, we're going to go into Settings and then Properties. I'm just going to go ahead and add that field. I'm going to call it ID code, Investment Dominator code, okay? And it's just going to be a single line text, all right? And I've gone ahead and that has been saved. All right, so it's time to bring in those properties. Now, we bring those in by the campaigns, by the campaign menu. And one of the things that I didn't mention early on in the video that I should have mentioned is that the list actually needs to be exported out of Investment Dominator by the county. You cannot have multiple counties on that sheet. That's because when we do all the tracking and stuff, it needs to be sorted by the county. So this list that I have already that you just saw me earlier editing, it is filtered by that county already. So I'm going to go ahead, head over to campaigns, add campaign. I'm actually going to call this ID import. So I know I've already mailed out with them. And then let's just name it the county and today's date, March 25th. Okay, great. This stuff doesn't matter because you're not actually mailing out with REI Pebble unless you are and you haven't mailed them out, then you'll want to consider that. But this one doesn't matter. I'm going to go ahead and choose my county. All right, I'm going to go grab my file. All right, so I'm going to actually save it first of all. I'm going to put it on my desktop here so you guys can see that. And make sure it is comma separated values.csv. And this is my ID import Charlotte. All right. Continue. Great. All right, so I'm going to go find that file. All right, so here's the file. I'm going to hit upload. And this is the key part where we're going to line everything up. So we're going to find the APN. There it is. We're going to get the longitude and latitude since I had it since the beginning. So there's the latitude and the longitude. Great. And then the owner full name. There it is, the full name column which I've named. Address. So this is the mailing address, and I'll quickly fill that out. Okay, now the other thing I want to bring in is that ID code that I had earlier. So you can see here the ID code. Now, whatever column it is, if it's PID or ORID, I'm not sure, or if it's UID, you've got a lot of codes here. I'm going to pretend that PID is that property's ID number that was given to that specific property or offer letter, whatever it may be. You're just going to make sure you select the right ones. I don't know which ones it is for Investment Dominator that you send out in your letters that you want to, that is typically used to be referred to the property, right? We're also going to create a property code as well for the property, but you probably won't be using ours when you're importing. All right, so I'm going to go ahead now and hit import list. And this is going to do a live scan to just double check everything. And obviously, I'm going to be missing information. I'm missing about 101 rows because I'm missing that owner name. And these rows have to do with the fact that these are companies. And remember, when I was trying to combine the columns together for first name and last name, there was nothing under those columns if it was a company. So these are the companies, and this is what I'm saying there. We're just going to skip over the companies. If you didn't want to skip over the companies, you'll just want to make sure that under the full name, and I'm going to go back to the full name here. See these ones here, that under the full name column for the companies, you have some sort of a name, so then you don't skip over it if you want to bring those in. I'm personally not going to do it. I'm going to go ahead and view the campaign. Great. Now we can see all of these. Now, these properties you're not going to send a mailer out to. You may do so. You may resend them down the road if you wanted to. But for these ones under this campaign, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go into my settings. I'm going to actually mark these as all mailed already. So I'm going to go into properties here. I'm going to add a status here. Now, at the time of you watching this may have already changed this stage bar, but this is just letting me know it's been mailed. That's all. And that's tied to the property itself. Sorry. I'm going to save that. I'm going to drag that right closer to the beginning here. Give it a little bit of a poopy color. All right, so if I go to all my properties now and I filter out by just either the county of Charlotte County or the campaign, which was ID import, you can see all 499. I'm going to change this stage to, or status. I'm going to select all of them first of all, and I'm going to change that to mailed. And I'm going to update that, and you can see they've all been marked as mailed. Now, if you go back to the campaign, it will say the progress is 0 because we actually haven't sent out any mailing to this campaign through REI Pebble. I would still keep this as a campaign and just leave it as paused and 0 progress, because perhaps down the road I will want to adjust some offers on here and resend this campaign a new offer or whatever it may be, and be able to refer to this campaign is a lot easier to do it that way. So that's how you import your data coming out of Investment Dominator. And remember, the document is separated by the county. Formatting that Excel sheet, so the name, the APN, and longitude and latitude, and figuring out again if you want to have the company name, as well as how to bring in that property code, and then again importing that into REI Pebble, so that you can always view and refer to those properties inside of REI Pebble anytime.